So we've come to the 6th Sunday of Easter. Remember Easter? This is a while ago. 6th Sunday. We still have the Paschal candle signifying this light and life of Christ. And in the first couple Sundays, we heard Jesus say to his disciples, "Peace I give to you. My own peace, not the world's peace." And today we hear Jesus say, "I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete." Joy, a huge message, promise, invitation. Joy to you. But we're pretty sure we understand right away, but joy not as the world gives joy. Because the joy that is a perfectly good thing is that passing joy. You know, things are going well for you and you're happy. You've had a big success. You're joyful. You have your health. You have finally got your bank accounts where you want them to be. And you feel good about that. There's a lot of things in life that can make us feel good and even, celebrate. But that isn't, I think we all know intuitively, that's not what Jesus is talking about. All these things can come and go. They are not a lasting, secure kind of joy. And when Jesus talks about his joy, that my joy may be in you, so that your joy may be complete, it might be whole, it might be secure. He talks a great deal today about keeping his commandments. And it sounds like the formula, as it were, for joy, the way to enter into his joy, to receive his joy, is to keep his commandments. He says several times, even as he kept his Father's commandments. And even, you are my friends if you keep my commandments. And now we're beginning to get something that sounds like one of those good news, bad news messages. The good news is, my joy in you, complete joy. The bad news, oh, you got to keep my commandments. So I want to broaden maybe the context of this a bit. Maybe we're not hearing it the right way, in the way we normally think about commandments. Because Jesus begins this little section today by saying, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Abide in my love." There's this great love, this inexhaustible love, this infinite love, the Father's love. And as the Father has loved me, Jesus has known that love and this presence and this pleasure of God in him, my beloved with whom I'm pleased. And Jesus has that at his core. It just sort of locates him, no matter what's going on the outside, right? As the Father has loved me, I have loved you in that way. I give you that love. And he says, abide in that love. One translator said something I totally didn't expect. Relax. You can relax into my love. It's there. You can rest in it. You can relax. Make it your home base. A wonderful way to think about that, kind of shift our mindset a little bit. And as you know this love and relax into it, accept it, welcome it, and know God's pleasure for you, keep my commandments. But I think we still need to work with this. And so this image came up for me from my childhood when I was about 7 years old, a little boy. And for the very first time, I went to the circus. Traditional circus, 3-ring circus. How many, survey here, how many have been to a traditional 3-ring circus? I want to know. I feel really bad for the people that haven't been to a 3-ring circus. I go into this place, there's thousands of people gathered around an arena, and there's all these traditional circus acts. One of them was the horses or the ponies. I was too little to know which it was. And so their trainer, brings them in, and they're going around the ring, and they're moving. And suddenly this person leaps up on one and does a handstand. Like, wow. And then they do a backflip. It's like, wow. They're just doing all this crazy stuff on this moving horse. I couldn't imagine it. This is just a flesh and blood person doing all this stuff. And then, of course, another big famous circus act is when they bring the lions and the tigers into this big cage. And this guy goes in there with them. It's like, whoa. And yeah, he has a whip, but he's not hitting them with the whip. It's more like a signal. And they stand up, they sit down, they shift places, and then yes, he does the classic. The guy puts his head in the mouth of the lion. It's like, whoa! I can't believe this stuff. And then there are many other acts, all wonderful and fun and joyful, but then these people go in skimpy little outfits, go climbing up these poles that are in the middle of the arena, pretty far apart, and they're high. They're a lot higher than this ceiling. They're way up there, and they go climbing up there. It takes a while for them to even get there to these tiny little platforms. And then they jump out on this trapeze and swing out, let go of it and spin and grab it again and come back, and it's like, wow. And then they go again, and this time someone comes from the other side, and they do a flip, and they catch him. And they just start doing all this stuff. I'm in awe. I'm like, wow, look at this. People are doing this stuff. It's the greatest show on earth, right? But I'm pretty sure that all the other thousands of us spectators, none of us could do that stuff. We'd get busted up pretty bad. How did they get there? How do they do this? Someone said practice. More than that, it's not enough. Someone just gave me a whip, said, go in the lion cage and practice. Nah, I need more. Right? No. As you know, circus is a family. And it's composed of other family groups and aunts and uncles and dear close friends. And someone might start working with a 6 or 7-year-old boy in the trapeze family. And they're going to bring them along. And they love this son or this daughter. And they care for them deeply. It's their own child. And they're going to bring them into the family act. And so they accompany them with all these little baby steps. And they're right there by their side, right? Doing what is good to do right now. And then when that's ready, then the next thing. And then when that's ready, then the next thing. And I even believe there's grace in that. If a child coming along in the family act just didn't have it, I don't think they'd say, well, too bad, get up there. No, they'd find another path. But this is how they're brought along by people who love them and care about them and know what they're doing. And then they evolve into the act. And they're doing stuff that nobody else can do. Jesus does the very same thing. And what we read today, his promise, that my joy may be in you and your joy be complete, I have said these things to you. And in the one sense, it means everything he's ever said that we know. Yes. But there's even some specific things. And one of the specific things is in the chapter 14, right before chapter 15 we read today. Listen to what Jesus says there. I will not leave you alone. You don't have to do this by yourself. You can't do this by yourself. Period. And I will not leave you on your own. I will ask the Father, and he will send another counselor to be with you. And that word counselor, the Greek word means come alongside, the one who comes alongside. I will ask the Father, and he will send you the one who comes alongside you. The Spirit of truth who will teach you all things. He's saying as plain as day, here are all the things I say to you. Here are all the instructions. Here is the way of the act of God that I am a part of, and I know from inside out. And the Spirit knows from inside out. We are one with the Father. And we're going to bring you into this life right at your side, day after day, step by step, with grace, with safety nets. The love of God is so huge. And as the Father has loved me, Jesus says, I love you. Abide, relax into this. You will not be taken alone. You'll not be sent off without God's presence, God's Spirit with you every step. But listen to what I say. Listen to what I say. You need it, and I'll be with you. And then we begin to enter this life, right? We have tasted this. We begin to see that the love of God in our world, with us, in us, through us, in ways that maybe to us seem so tiny. It's real. It's present. It's active. It's moving. And there's a joy in that and a peace in that, knowing we are part of the movement, the great act of God to save, to make whole, to redeem. And then we come to know something. We come to know the applause. Not the applause of people. If it's there, that's nice. Sometimes it isn't there. The applause of God. God who looks at you, looks at me, and says, whoa, that's my son. That's my daughter. Look at what they're doing. I say these things to you, says Jesus, so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete.